we continue now. We're up to where? We're up to page, the middle of 175, in the middle of Reis Gimel. We're 3 lines from the bottom of the page, if you have that set up. Okay, so the summary that we need to know, in general, is as follows. What's the Maamar explaining now? The Maamar is explaining that the neshama comes down and it's in its elevation of its work with the guf and nefesh bahamis is akin to salty waters becoming sweet. And they become sweet through the pressure of the earth. That's the bitter, that's the refinement that is brought to bear on the guf and nefesh bahamis. In so doing, the nefesh elikis has a tremendous aliyah. It goes from the avodah of b'chol nafshecha that it had l'mayla, and here dafke this summons forth the avodah b'chol ma'itcha. So integral to the avodah is as follows. It's all based on the beautiful medrash about the world being water within water, and 2 attempts of the Eibush to establish the world that were not successful. Doyer of the Enosh, and then the doyer of the Mabul, which means that the Eidos, the Torah, were unrefined. The Guf and Nefesh Bahamis had the upper hand. Klippa was winning the day until he found this rocky terrain. And who is that? That's the Ovis, and the Reish Tzurim is Avram. And here the king said he'll establish his Medina. So it is this whole point is that the Reish Tzurim, that is that which will ensure that the world is not flooded, that we're not flooded by the Nefesh Bahamis, and that it's a successful establishment of the Dir Alei Yisborech. What do you need? What's integral? What did God find? He found the Reish Tzurim. So that is, and he says to Bavon, to ensure that this time the establishment and the avodah will be successful. So we learned already what that means. We learned that Reish Tzurim means the avodah of the pnimius of the midas, as they are rooted l'mayla mitam v'das. So and that's the avodah that explains at length in Tanya, that every year inherits from the others this natural hidden love for Hashem, which includes also the fear of being severed. And if a yid, by invoking this, that's the key to being successful, the avodah with the nefesh bahamis and the world. It's got to be based on this mesiras nefesh and this ave and yira, which is higher than seichel. That's the Reish Tzurim. The Tzurim, Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, the midas, but the Reish Tzurim is the pnimius, is the shayresh, and therein lies the key. Clear? Yeah?
Yes, Rabbi.
Then he added that that's not enough. That's the God of Reish Tzurim Arenu. But then he explained at length in the previous year, what's the avodah that must follow and complete this avodah? Mikvois Asherenu. And what's Gvois? Gvois goes on, the Imois. What's the Imois? The Imois is the avodah of the midas alpisech. In the previous way. That are makabel from the midas at the shayrish which are l'mayla mitam v'das. Which l'cha'ira is a yerida, and it is a yerida, as the embrace and makabel from the others. But as he starts to explain that dafke, the embrace is the avodah of what? Of Asherenu. Merosh Tzurim Arenu. But Mikvois Asherenu. And how did the Maamar explain the difference? The whole Arichas on Friday. The Arenu is what distant and makif. And Asherenu is close and internalized. That's what we learned at length, yes, on Friday. Now continuing. Let's just go back to the... Okay, Yanki, just mute everybody again. And just unmute me. Okay, good enough to get, okay. We'll pick up the text from Va'inyan Bazeh, which is probably, let me see. Yeah, it's a little lower than halfway through Ezgin. Va'inyan Bazeh, Shebchinas Tzurim, Tzurim, is explaining the Asherenu and Arenu, the difference, as we just mentioned. That Tzurim al Midas Lamayim Masech. So when the Avodah is only the Midas Lamayim Masech, in other words, the question is, why continue from there? That's the Bavornish to see that there shouldn't be Lo Yatzifu HaYisoides, that they shouldn't be flooded. The Chayre, there's nothing higher than that, and the Avodah of Mesiras Nefesh, which is higher than Seichel. He says, no, that is not enough. So he explains now that this is Anyal Zen and Bararenu Arbariya Ba'alma. This Avodah is merely Re'iyah. There's not so much understanding. There is some level, obviously, because it is Seichel at the end of the day that it unlocks the midas. So there is a sog and awareness and understanding, but not so much. Why? Because it's a connection to the Eibishter, which is be'etzem higher than Seichel. But Seichel is recognizing the higher than Seichel. That's what it means by kol kach. Seichel is surrender intellectually. The recognizing the limits and the paucity of intellect, surrendering to this intense, surrendering to the Eibush, to hide in Seichel, unlocking this intense midah, the shayrish of the midas. But still, it's a riyah. The person himself remains distant. The person means the conscious self. Whereas Gevois, which brings down the midas internalized and grasped by Seichel, which means understanding the Eibishter in the way that it can be grasped. So here the Pasuk uses a very different word. As we explained on Friday, this is something that's close up and examined and grasped. That's what Asherenu means. Looking closely and with concentration and intensity. And this is the Ikar Avodah. Now, if it's the Ikar Avodah, so then why do you need Rosh Tzurim? If the Ikar Avodah is Pnimius, we'll start with Pnimius and end with Pnimius. What's your answer? The first Avodah says is Makif. So why bother with it? Why bother with Rosh Tzurim? Just have the Avodah of Merosh. Okay, that's English and...
We need to take the bigger inspiration and tap into the bigger source, let's say, and live with it.
That's true. But I'm just looking for also a practical difference. That if the Nishma is not based on Nasa, which is another way of framing this, then the Nishma goes off. The Seichel, the Pnimius Gufa will not work unless it's rooted in a Makiv Dika transcendent, not negotiable truth. Because Seichel is all about negotiation. And Seichel is subjective. And with Seichel alone, the person can end up who knows where, God forbid. So it's not true that the Ikar Avodah is the Pnimius. But the Pnimius is not rooted in the Makiv is dangerous. And self-serving in the end, it cannot and will not last. On the contrary, it will be corrupted and used for the opposite end.
Can we say the same about midas?
We're talking about midas. We're saying that a midah that is not rooted in Rosh Tzurim is a falshe midah. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the avodah of midas. We're talking about av and yira. So we're talking about. So for the midas to be true, it has to start with rish tzurim l'maylim and seichel. We're talking about the midas together with seichel, because there are no midas without seichel. So we're talking in totality, but the ikir objective is the midah, is to be moved. Seichel alone is a vada, not the kavanah. Information stored in the head. It's a vada that the seichel should stir the heart. Right? So it's one package. Midas cannot exist without awareness. And we're talking about awareness here on these two levels. And even though the ikir is the pnimius, is the engagement, but the pnimius without the makif will not remain true. Not just not remain true, it doesn't start true to begin with. Because it starts with the self. When it starts with the self, even if it's nice and pretty at the outset, it's destined to emerge as destructive. Because to begin with, it's on false premise. So the pnimius has to be rooted in the makif. Then that's nasa, and then nishma. Then it's a real nishma. Am I clear? Yeah, Yankee?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the nishma is seichel. It's the seichel understanding.
Right, so when saying nishma now, we mean seichel as it gives birth to midas, real midas in the heart of appreciation, a sense of closeness, understanding, etc. The midas as they produce the seichel. What kind of midas does seichel produce? Seichel will produce midas that are internalized and felt and appreciated. Pnimius. The first avodah is the avodah of the etzem hachachma. It's not seichel in bina. Bina is the feminine. We're talking bina. Bina is taka the avodah of the gvois asherenu. What starts it is the etzem hachachma, which is avodah of the ovis, and that's the ma'anim and asech. That's the nishma, and so the nasa, and then there's a healthy nishma.
Yeah, so the healthy nasa is, the healthy nishma is because of the nasa.
Right.
But midas need to have that objectivity of seichel, or else it's all self. So it's some kind of circle.
Are you asking a question, or you're making a step? I'm not sure. You're asking, or you're just stating something?
Meaning that if nasa, the healthy nishma is because of a first nasa, but on the midas, like we were just saying, cannot be without the proper seichel, or else it's just subjective.
Right. Good midas. And what's the objectiveness? Wherein lies the true objectiveness of seichel? It's in the etzem hachachma, because seichel can justify everything too. Seichel can lose its objectivity. It's only the pnimis and etzem of seichel that's be'emes objective.
So what is the nasa, the etzem hachachma?
The etzem hachachma, which unlocks the etzem of the midas. A midah which is l'maylim midah v'agbola, not based on me, but based on you. A midah that gives birth to Mesiras Nefesh, etc. This Mesiras Nefesh is the negation of self. That comes b'Yerusha from the Ovis that every Yid is born with. That's what he's talking about here. The Perek Yitches and Tanya going forward, the second track. So that's all. In order for the pnimizdike midas to be start the way it should be, it has to be based on the nas. In other words, like in a marriage, the stuff of the daily, in the conscious main avodah in practicality is true meeting of mind and heart, and experiencing each other and enjoying each other. But it has to be predicated on this, the chuppah, the makif, the chuppah which transcends both. That is the nasa, the commitment. It's also a love. It's also a love, a kind of love. It's this person under the chuppah, not somebody else. But it's a love that's higher than seichel. It's an amunadika love. There is an awareness there. You've met, you've gone out, you dated. In fact, you know the person. You're a fool to think you know the person. So what is it? It's an intuition. This is the right one. You got an answer, you got a bracha, whatever it is. So you go further. It's a great leap of faith, but there is some area of seichel. This person, not somebody else. You're marrying this person. Shitaka covered, which is saying it could be somebody else. Taka could be. Because when it comes to the Mailim and Seichel, it's why dafka this person. In Chanami, Mitzad Seichel, the Seichel says, why this? That's when I say Seichel, I mean integrated Seichel, primitive Seichel. But Etzema Seichel says, no. Etzema Chacham says, this is the one. Why? Our brothers brought us together, and here we are. He wrote for Bracham, we got the answer, so that's it. We went to the oil. We came out of the oil, that's why. And then the rest of the whole life is to bring it down in the pneumius. It's experience, etc. But if it's not based forever on the union of chuppah, on the makiv, then God forbid, there's somebody else is more attractive. I'm going to enjoy more. That's why, by the way, the union of it's a nigle word from the Rogichover, that chuppah is an ongoing process. The Kiddushin is ongoing. There's ramifications up in nigle. The primitive reason is that constantly has to be this nasa as the foundation, not once upon a time. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, or even yesterday. But right now, this ongoing kiddushin, chuppah is every second. But that's a kind of a super conscious, subconscious foundation that needs to be, it needs to be addressed consciously. Meida Ani, the day begins with this Meida Ani, with this surrender, with this same meaning, this makif, the hidah, the bittul. But the stuff of the day of engagement is meeting of hearts and enjoying and connecting intellectually, emotionally. That's where on the clock, as it were, that's where the whole avodah is invested. And that's the pnimius of it. And without that, there's no real love. By real love, I mean a love that is felt in the heart and appreciated. Love is an experience, not a surrender. For the experience to be true, it's based on the surrender. But the love itself, the nishma, the love has to be enjoyable, lovable. And that's where the main avodah is.
So the midas is part of the nishma.
Huh? When I say nishma, I mean midas. Seichel that gives birth to conscious, enjoyable midas. I love, in the conventional sense. When I'm saying nishma now, that's what I'm talking about, this package. What produces midas? When I understand and appreciate you. There's a meeting of minds and hearts here. Shared activities that growing together. All the things of life of growing together, experiencing each other, discovering each other. This is an internal, it's not surrender. This is fulfilling and experiential. I mean, not as experiment. I mean, it's experience. Right? But for that to be true, it's going to be based on the nasa. Nasa is for our purposes here, the Bible doesn't use these words. I'm just using it because this is the whole template. Nasa means Rosh Tzurim, etzem of midas, born by the etzem of Chochmah. Like we learned 3 Mamorim ago. V'maskilim yasiru. Or 4 Mamorim ago, wherever it was. Yeah?
Yeah.
Now again, we can continue to see in the mind. Okay. And this is like, what is like? The difference between the midas is the yad, the extra midas, the Rosh Tzurim, is they are embodied by the others. And the difference between the midas as they are embodied by the hills, not the mountains. They're coming down here. It's traversable. It's a nice shared walk. You don't go on a shared walk mountain climbing. When you're mountain climbing, it's not exactly scaling peaks. But when you go for a nice walk, sharing and talking, is when you're walking the hills. I'm being a bit facetious, but that's the idea. No, I don't mean facetious, I mean being cutish and using just like a physical analogy of the gvois and the tzurim. Akoponim, the point being that it's in the gvois that there the relationship is forged truly in a conscious, internalized, and pneumistic way. That's love. So again, what's the who? The difference between the Reish Tzurim and the Gvois is like the difference between Alma Disgasya, Alma Disgalia. This is a general term which we've encountered recently again. I think the previous Maimah. There is the hidden worlds and the revealed worlds. This is going to be repeated throughout the rest of the Ois. What it simply means is Alma Disgasya means worlds beyond us, and Alma Disgalia means reality is revealed to us. Sheba'alma Disgasya, the hidden worlds beyond, like the ocean. What is Alma Disgasya, the hidden worlds? What's the parallel in Avodah? That's the Rosh Tzurim. That's the mitzvahs which are hidden seichel. There's no close look there. There's no real engagement there. It's hidden seichel. Whatever exists in that world is fundamentally concealed from what? From actual creation. It's all relative. Only in the revealed worlds, creation, the worlds that emerge revealed, the parallel are emerged tangible midas. So there's a close look, a real experience, because that is our world. Human beings need to feel. It's got to be immediate. It's got to be close. The surrender is the foundation. But the human state is not a state of surrender. Not why God created is to crush us. It's to engage us. Be filled with love and filled with reverence and enjoy and appreciate. But in order for all of that to be be'emes, it all has to be based on the Avodah of Reish Tzurim. Clear? All right, we'll continue this with Hashem tomorrow. I'm just going to add as follows to all of this. A beautiful word I heard yesterday from Rabbi Manas. It's not a word, I mean, just as he does, express things so clearly and bringing it all down. The question was posed, how do you know if you love God? So he says, first of all, as we're learning now, you cannot love something, as we say all the time, that you don't have an awareness and know. Like again, the example I always bring, my brother Chaim, I used to say this example. If you trust me, and I tell you about a brother in Australia, Chaim Yu. So you believe 100% he exists if you trust me fully. Can you love him? Can you respect him? You have no clue who he is. So in the Eibishter you only believe in, you cannot love. Because love only comes through being familiar and getting to know. So if it's all a person has is emunah, there's no love. That's the Rosh Tzurim. But the Eibishter wants us to love him for God's sake. He wants the relationship with us. So that's why the Eibishter manifests himself in all of these midas, the holy shtalshalos, and that's why we are laboring to learn and understand and appreciate, so that we can relate to it and love God. So that is why the question was raised, what's the point of all this? Learning of all of these madregas and levels. Is an Eibishter, finish, gamarnu, do what you got to do. Fine. But you have no relationship with this God. You got to understand. God's not understandable. So thank God, what did God do? He manifested himself a way which is understandable. And which we have the same parallel. All these madregas and levels and ishtalshalas and the 10 spheres, it's all in order to be intimate and familiar and understand and appreciate and grow to love in greater measure. Good. So what's the indication that you love? He expresses very beautifully that you have a love of God is if you feel that life's burdens are easier to take, that you're not alone. That's the measure of love. You love. What does it mean, I love? If being close to this person makes life easier in the sense that you feel not alone, that is love. So feeling the intimacy and immediacy of the Eibishter in your life, that's love. If your relationship is merely fear, if I don't do the mitzvah, I'm going to burn in hell, and if I do it, I'm going to get reward. That's what fear means. Then that's not love, obviously. That's fear, and that's not a closeness. What Chassidus wants is to have a closeness and appreciation. And what's the manifestation of that? What's the measure? You feel not alone. Life, the problems you have are not insurmountable. Whatever, everybody has problems in a package, but they're just smaller. Why? Because the Eibishter is with you, and that's real. And that can only happen when you appreciate God in the minutiae of your life, which is exactly what Chassidus wants us to do. So that's the of what? That's the Mikvois Hashirenu. That cannot happen without the foundation of Merosh Tzurim.